And welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I'm your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another Footy Insight player chat. And ladies and gentlemen, I have myself an absolute ripper, another of the Woodville-West Torrens, again, Darce Evans, coming up fantastically great here, but this time, not a coach, a player. As joining me from the Sandful W team of the Woodville-West Torrens Eagles, we have midfield gun, Miss Poppy Waterford. Poppy, great to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Donnie.
Well, I'm super looking forward to this. I love your game. I've had the pleasure of talking with several Samful W players over these last couple of years. You're always rippers. I cannot wait to have a chat. So let's hop right into it. Before we get to the footy, I know this is a footy podcast. Could you tell me just a little bit about yourself outside of the sport of football?
Yeah, well, to be fair, there's probably more to me outside of football than there is in it. Footy's a big part of my life, but like definitely a person with a lot of pieces in that puzzle. So yeah, I come from Alice Springs, which is up in the Northern Territory. It's called in Barnsworth. It's on Aranda country. Personally, I'm non-Indigenous. I would say my ethnicity is like convict white, but I did grow up with a lot of Aboriginal culture in my family, so that's something I hold pretty close to me, and that's where a lot of my study is. And now I'm doing my master's to be a primary school teacher, so that takes up a fair bit of my time studying. I'm working. I work as a support worker, like one-on-one with kids with additional needs in schools, and like mostly with kids with autism, which is awesome because like my old man is autistic and he was diagnosed when he was really little. And it's really like special to be part of a system now that provides a lot more help than he was ever getting then. So that's really cool. And yeah, I'm only new to footy. Well, this is very lucky. This has been my fifth season and it's been awesome. But yeah, soccer player mostly. So yeah, this has been the only year actually that I haven't played soccer on the side. So usually I do both, but it's been good this year, just doing one.
Fantastic. Oh, always great to see it. I know soccer players, at least especially up here, they transition really well to footy once they start learning that they can use their hands. And so
Yeah, that's right.
so let's hop into it. As you said, you're a soccer player, but let's go back into the memory a little bit. What is your earliest footballing memory?
Well, my big brother plays footy. Doesn't anymore. Big Jug's retired, but yeah, I watched him a lot growing up. He played for Fetties in Alice, and he was a little gun midfielder. He's like tiny as like me, so he's just a little in and under one. Yeah, always watching, but yeah, again in Alice, like it never even occurred to me to play, sort of thing. It was just a thing that I watched. Like I always watched football with my dad. I remember playing, like we would play marks up a lot, like on road trips if we had some time mucking about. But yeah, just watching it with my dad and brother really young is probably my earliest memories of it.
Fantastic. All right. Since you are still in your career, and I love finding this out just because everybody has a different reason. What is your favorite part of playing the sport of football?
Oh, pretty obvious answer, just how physical it is. I love it. Shout out to my friend Sam Decina, who I used to play soccer with, and we were mid-season, and she was like, "You've got to go and join a football club. Like this is ridiculous." Because I always go hard in soccer. I was always that person, and I'm very competitive and like very physical on the ball. But yeah, footy just allows you to do that next step. You can shepherd, you can bump, you can knock off, and like the other main thing that I love about football, especially comparatively to soccer, is that like footy is like club based. You really get clubs that wrap around you. They have all these people, you got all these coaches. It's genuinely, it's like having a bunch of uncles coming to help you, like all these old men who are just so willing to give up their time and share, and like all the women who've just paved all this way to help. You just have so many people, so much history, so much like yeah, wraparound support, and it's like a place to be. It's a place to belong in a way that like soccer, I was always there, but I just played and left kind of thing. Like, but yeah, I love footy for that.
I mean, I've even noticed it up here. We don't have as big of a club culture, but everybody kind of becomes brother and sisters. The more
Yeah.
that you're around the footy club, it's like when I had my wedding, I had half the team came to our wedding reception. So it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
things
right.
like it's things like that. You become a brotherhood, which is always fantastic. So
Yeah.
I look forward to the answer to this question only because I see in your background, and we discussed it a little bit off mic. But what is the club for those that aren't watching the YouTube video? What is the club that you support in the AFL and why?
You'll be very happy to know, Donny, I'm a Sydney Swans fan, have been forever. My big brother, he picked the Swans when he was a little kid, and none of us ever questioned it. So we all followed suit. My mum too. So yeah, do have a soft spot for the Cats, but yeah, definitely the Swans are number one for sure, above everyone.
Well, I'll say this. I have a soft spot for the Cats too, just because
Mm.
both clubs are so similar. It's kind of scary at times. The only difference is
Oh
that
yeah.
Geelong always gets the too old, too slow moniker put on them all the time, and it seems like every year that they do, then they go out and win a premiership. So
What makes you think that they're similar?
just their consistency.
Oh
They're,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
both they both are they're so consistent. They have this class that everybody talks about. There's a reverence almost to both clubs. Like when you
yeah,
talk about the hoops, you talk about how they're almost always in finals. They're always there. They're that you
yeah.
know that you
Always
know
around the
that they're going
mark.
to be competitive. Very rarely are they a team down at the bottom. And except for a few years in like 19 and 20, the Swans have been the same thing. They've been consistently there. They've been a
Yeah.
club that, I mean, we all think back to the 2012 grand final and Bruce Goen, that culture, the Bloods. I mean, it's something
Yeah.
everybody talks about, no matter how many
Yeah.
years have gone over. So I look at it, I'm 100%, I can 100% see it and respect it. I've have several Cats fans, and we go back and forth all the time about the same thing that our club is we're almost we're almost spoiled a little bit with how well the club is playing. Now,
Yeah. I reckon they have that
maybe
reputation too of both being clubs that are like a bit rich, bit pretentious, like a little bit.
hmm
Geelong's definitely got that vibe of they get whatever they want, like, and it's rich private school boys and with the country money kind of thing.
hmm
And Sydney's probably got a little bit of that rep too, but we have been a very, very good club for a very long time and a good group to watch play,
All
especially
right.
in my lifetime.
So I'm looking forward to this because we can talk some good names in this one. Favorite club player of the past and favorite player currently on the Swans list.
Oh, on this one's I grew up watching Adam Goods. He's definitely my favorite past player, and just because he's a utility, literally put him anywhere, and he was dominant, one of the best in the game. And I think a person who like I knew a lot of off the ground of footy. Like I think he did good to take the platform that he was given through sport and really do something about it, kind of thing. And he was never afraid to say what he wanted. And yeah, I think he's a ledge, but he's just so talented. I mean, like I'll never play like that because that's not my body type. But yeah, God, he can mark and run amok. He's so good. Yeah.
Mhm. Favorite player currently?
Oh, currently,
Like picking your favorite child, huh?
yeah, it is. It's very hard. I mean, look, uh, you'd be hard pressed to not pick Papley. I love Papley. I always try and emulate him a little bit, especially when I'm trying to gas people up and just be a bit of a pest. Like
I love
I
it.
think that's a reputation that I definitely have a little bit. I'm a bit annoying, but like you're better to have me annoying on your team than not on your team. So,
hmm
and I really like a celebration. On the very, very rare occasions I score a goal, you'll hear about it.
Uh-huh. Definitely for sure. I'm a rampy guy when it comes to the currently. Always love ramps.
Yeah,
Just
he is a king.
yeah, and especially the fact that now he's got a rampy robe, and in fact, I had a mate, I have a mate who sent me a rampy robe, and I
Yeah.
still to this day cannot believe it. So when it's cold up here in the winter, which it can get quite cold, the rampy robe gets a run during the winter days, which is always so much fun.
Love that.
And I'm a player of the past. I'm 100% with you. It's definitely Goodsy for sure. Definitely
Yeah.
Goodsy for sure. Fantastic player there. So you kind of teased it a little bit, but I love this story. How did you begin playing footy besides the fact your soccer mate told you you're in the wrong sport?
Yeah. Yeah, she's alleged for doing that. Because I did think on it for a minute, and then in when the season ended, I went down to Smosh where she was playing, and I joined her. And it was yeah really good. So I started when I was 22. 26 now, about to be 27. Woo! But yeah, I got into it down at Smosh West Lakes, and was really, really lucky to have Greg Phillips coaching me in my first year. So that was amazing. And he is an absolute true blue legend. And just one of the reasons I really loved football, because he was just such a welcoming, so knowledgeable, but so approachable. And I really rate that in people. And yeah, so I got into it there. And then after 2020, I went to North. So I went from local to Sample the next year, and sort of didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know what the Sample was. I just, yeah, went out to trial and played, and it was good. And I'm so competitive. So I loved it at a high level, because footy was so good. But obviously, sometimes training when you're at local level, it's a bit slack, whatever, you're having so much fun. But yeah, as soon as I got a taste at Sample level, I was like, yeah, this is the work rate I'm trying to be at. So that was awesome. And I learned a lot out at North. And yeah, loved it. And then I ended up going back to local for a minute, just because my headspace was pretty bad for a while, and I wasn't enjoying footy anymore. And so I went back to play local just to see if I still loved it, kind of thing. And again, the whole time I was playing and captaining my soccer team. So soccer was sort of my main thing, and footy was just this cool new thing where I was learning lots and getting a run around, and it was awesome. But it was also pretty frustrating, because I was very good at soccer, and I knew it was very predictable for me. I was very comfortable. I knew how to use the ball, and football is so frustrating, the way that ball bounces, and trying to learn to kick it. It was hard. But yeah, and then I went back to the Eagles, sort of incidentally, really. But yeah, very lucky, and haven't looked back. So it's
Well,
been
yeah,
great.
yeah. Inadvertently answered my next question. My next question was, how is it that you ended up at Woodville-West Torrens? Was it just more of you saw there was a spot available, or when you took your time off, you just thought, bugger it, let's have a go at Sample again.
Nah, it was very incidental, because I quit mid-season when I left. And I went back and played local. And I was thinking of transferring clubs, but then I was like, nah, let's just leave it. Let's just give it a minute. So I just went and played club, and just left it. But my mate Chloe Newton, who is just a gun forward, she's such a good kicker. She's got absolutely sticky mitts. Um, she was trying to get her first run at league football, and she was being recruited by Rel, and
Mhm,
Rel had come down to watch a few of our games down at Gazer, who was a local club I was playing with.
mhm,
um, and yeah, she'd come down to watch our semi-finals and a few of our league games, and she was interested in Chloe, and Chloe was like, oh, you should call Poppy. And Rel was like, well, of course I'll call Poppy. I didn't know Poppy was coming back to play. Yeah, for sure. And then, so yeah, Rel sort of just called me just because Chloe was like, you should call her. So I got on the phone with Rel, and she yeah, pulled me in for a meeting. And yeah, I think I was quite emboldened by the fact that I didn't really care whether it happened or not. So I just went into the meeting really honest, and I was like, look, I really enjoy football, but I'm not interested in anything taking away space of my mental health. So
mhm,
if it's not, I've got a few issues with anxiety, and I was like, if it's not an environment where I can cope, and I feel comfortable, and I feel like I can be myself, it really won't be a place, because I've got to be here, whatever, 20, 30 hours a week. If I've got to squash parts of myself, it's not going to work.
mhm,
So she was really upfront and direct with her communication, and yeah, and I joined because I was planning on trialing out with a few other clubs, but she said, no, you either decide now or decide not to. She said, either sign now or don't sign. And I was like, okay, well, I'll have a think for, 15 minutes, go outside. But yeah, my mate Andy Hood was in the meeting too, because he works at Woodville, and he is an absolute legend. I don't know if you know much of him through Darcy, but yeah, Hoodie's just an all-round good person. And he used to work with my brother up in the territory, because my brother Tommy works for AFL NT. So
mhm,
they're mates, and I really trusted Hoodie, and he was he was just, yeah, he was like a really good support, and he was like, we'll do what we can, like, and just what you need, you let us know. And back then, like Eagles have evolved through their like brand values since then, but back then, like their values were like family. Um, and that was a really big piece for me. And Rel was really honest that like she liked my football, but she was really interested in me as a personality type kind of thing, because I'm very up and about, I'm very loud, and I'm very sort of yeah, whether I feel it or not, I act pretty confident kind of thing. So she's like, we need a bit of that to bring it together, like, so come on and we'll support you. So yeah, so she said all the right things and I jumped on and never looked back, really. That's about how it went.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that fact. I'll do a question without notice because
Mm.
I love Narelle Smith. I think she's absolutely an
She's a ledge.
she's an absolute legend, and she's literally we've communicated back and forth a ton. In fact, she really her and I need to get together for a coaching powwow because
Yeah, she
she's
said she's the reason I'm here. Like
yeah.
Darcy got onto her, but she texted me and she was like, "You're gonna have to go. Donnie's a ledge, get on there." And I was like, "Okay, no worries."
Well, I appreciate that. So just quick question without notice. How is when it comes to working with Norel? I mean, you were working with a legend of SA football
Yeah.
when it comes to the women's side. I mean, is it something you take pride in? I mean, your coach is one of the legends of the women's side of footy.
Yeah, genuinely. I mean, she probably gets sick of hearing it because she just like pioneer gets thrown out all the time.
Uh-huh.
Pioneer Narelle Smith. But yeah, she is. She's genuinely, she's real salt of the earth. She's a really straight shooter. She'll tell you how it is. And I enjoy that. I'm a very direct person, and we get on really well. And I think she's very open. She's very adaptable, which I think is a super admirable quality in any kind of coach or teacher. She doesn't let things ruffle her too much. And like I think that's nice. And she does a really good job of like protecting us as a playing group from all of the logistics and all of the battles that she fights upstairs for us, and all of the things that she does media wise and advocating for us. Like she does so much behind the scenes, as she's been doing for years and years and years. And yeah, and she's just a like she's a very powerful, you know that
Mhm.
within a minute of being with her. So it's really
Yeah.
good.
She does yeoman's work, and she doesn't want the credit. She wants it all
No.
to go to the women that are playing currently. And like I said,
Yeah.
I absolutely love her. She's so kind when I had the chance to chat with her, and just taking up her time and hearing her stories and talking with her. She's been absolutely
Oh, mate,
fantastic.
she loves a chat. You'd be fine.
Oh yeah. So like I said, we got to coach's chat. We need to sit down and have a chat with. I'm cannot wait for that because just being able to pick her brain, I cannot wait. So
Yeah.
let's go from Norel again. I love Norel, but let's go back to you here, Poppy, and I want to have fun with this because this is one of my favorite questions to ask because there's been a theme. So I'm going to see if you go with it. I don't want to tip it or say. So I want you to have some time to humble brag. Be cheeky if you want. What is your biggest accomplishment so far as a footballer?
A humble brag or a brag? What do you want?
You do either or. You be you, Poppy. You be you.
I don't know. Yeah, this year's been really big. It's been really good for me. It's been the first year that I didn't play soccer concurrently. So usually I spend a Saturday at football and then a Sunday at soccer, and just flog my body a bit and training through the weeks. And this season really rewarded me doing that. I mean, I was definitely limping towards the end of the season, but I definitely had my best year yet. And yeah, I just got stronger. I'm yeah, really proud of how well I like tackled and laid pressure this year. But yeah, this year was good. I got to go over and play state, which was just insane. I mean, I felt a bit guilty. I've been representing NT my whole life, and then I went on and represented SA. I was try and do the SA colours proud, and I think I played my role there. Um, and but yeah, I just cheeky one BNF if you want that one. That was good. That was huge. And Eagles has got stacks and stacks of talent. Um, girls who've been around plenty of programs, professional programs, and are back, and just heaps of young talent. So coming up number one, that was a huge moment, and I was genuinely so chuffed with that. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing I've done.
Well,
Winning my flag in my first year was probably a flex as well, but obviously that's a huge team thing, and I was an absolute nufty, probably at about 50% efficiency. So that wasn't on me. I was just rolled in, lucky to be there under Greg, and just running amok in the midfield,
there's
laying high tackles.
There's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's because the theme that I had is that for many of the women that I've interviewed, many of them their humble brag is always a team accomplishment. So
Oh
I
yeah.
don't I didn't want to tease it out and then have you go, well, I gotta stay with the theme. No, be you, Poppy. Absolutely love it. But it's fantastic. Like I said, I watched almost every single game of Woodville-West Torrens. Again, I went back and forth with Norelle a few times, and I know her frustration with a couple of the games this year was very evident. And again, I
Yeah.
is all 100 raised my hand. You probably didn't see this. My bold statement going into this season was that Woodville-West Torrens would make finals for the women. That was my bold statement. I was
Oh, mate,
confident.
not even bold. We just fell short of our potential. We should have been there.
I agree
Say it
100%.
again next year, and we'll get
100%.
you.
I mean, you push both grand finalists. I mean, you beat Norwood
Yeah.
twice. Trust me, I'm friends with Brad Farrell, and that was
Yeah.
one of his biggest. He was pretty steamed about the one game where they hit the post 6 times. So it was it,
Yeah,
it was
that was
it was a,
funny.
it was a it was an incredibly fun season for me just because
Yeah.
there was no like, yes, South Adelaide was really really good this year, but you never knew
Yeah.
what was going to happen. Even though North wasn't as great as they probably wanted to be, you
Oh,
never
still
knew.
stacks of talent and come out firing
There
though.
was there
Yeah.
was always an upset somewhere.
And
There was
scalped a
always
few of us. They got us. They got Glenelg too, I'm pretty sure.
they did. They
Yeah.
got Glenelg. I believe Jess Bakes might have been hurt that game too, which helps
Yeah,
a
fair, fair,
little.
fair. Yeah.
But still, that Glenelg Tigers team should not have dropped to North. But again, North is a scrappy bunch. They didn't give up, so you got to give them that. But again, I absolutely adored the Sample W season this year. It was so
Yeah,
much
it was
fun to
great.
watch. Absolutely enjoyed it. I cannot wait for years to come. The amazing young talent that's coming through the AFLW. I tell many of my AFLW fans, I said, this one, this one, this one. I'm coming out with names like your former teammate Sinead Goody coming to Port Adelaide. I cannot wait to see that
Mate,
little ripper
she is
play
a
next year.
jet. She is such a star.
I know Norel just absolutely speaks reverence of her name, and I keep telling my
Yeah.
friends that are watching. I said that those that have not watched the Sample W, I said Sinead Goody, Piper Window. Unfortunately, Lauren Young when she gets back from her ACL. I said Port
Yeah.
Adelaide is absolutely stacked
Yeah, give him
for
a couple years and
years
those
to
girls
come.
are they're just gonna be rolling teams.
Oh yeah, they're
Goody
they're
is genuinely she's not only a genuinely incredible person, but she's a fucking talented footballer. She's
oh
so
yeah.
smart, and she's one of those girls like in a sh like my personality is louder, but she's smarter and she's
Mhm.
more knowledgeable and she's a better asset. Like she's got so much good to say, and she's the kind of girl who's um she's she's like just good roots in her. She knows the right thing
Mhm.
to do. She's got a good head on her shoulders. She'll always help you out in a drill, and she never makes anyone feel bad, even though everyone next to her, you're like, mate, no worries. We'll just climb on your shoulders. You carry us whenever.
She makes everybody look like a Muppet, but she's not going to act like it.
Yeah,
And
oh,
that's my
honestly. But she'd never
she's
act like that. Yeah.
she's absolutely like I said, I loved watching her play. The fact that she
Yeah.
flies and she isn't a big unit at all. Like
No.
there isn't much to her, but she
No.
goes for it. Absolutely love it. So
Yeah.
cannot wait. Like I said, AFLW is getting closer and closer. I'm literally losing my mind. I'm so excited
Yeah.
because not only for our Swans, I think there's some big things to come with the group that they've got together, but I look forward to Port Adelaide and seeing Piper Window and some of these young girls that I
Yeah.
watched last year in the Sample W. Was like, cannot wait to see you
Yeah.
play at the AFLW. Cannot wait for people's jaws to fall with how talented they are. So
Yeah,
reel it
genuinely.
in, coach. Reel it in. All right. All right. Let's go back to you. Let's go into it. I always love this one. This is always fun. Who's your best mate at the Eagles?
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, Eagles is a great place because you'd be stood next to anyone in the warm up and have a good time. It's a really good place like that. If I had to pull a name, I'd probably say Danny Richardson. She's a legend. She didn't end up making a game this year because she's trains like an absolute dog and got injured in preseason and then didn't give herself any break. So just like
Oh boy.
kept carrying on. But she's a legend. She stepped into work for us at the club because she's a masseuse. She's a trainer.
Hmm.
Just opened up her own small business actually. So anyone in Adelaide, look her up. Proactive Massage. But yeah, she's a legend. She worked. She genuinely she would have carried half the girls across the line, with how much treatment she gave out to people after hours and stuff like that. And yeah, we're really good mates off the pitch. So it's
Fantastic.
awesome.
Love it. So let's stay in the rooms a little bit. I always love this because
Mm.
each team is different. There's always a different vibe and environment. So could you describe the room for me, the group as together? Were you a fun, happy-go-lucky group? Were you a business when you were together? You were ready for the footy. A little bit about
Um,
what the Eagles were like this year.
I think we're pretty we're a pretty fun team in the rooms. Um, Definitely at the beginning, I would say there's a definite vibe shift about 5 minutes before meeting time, and then it's like fucking get your shit together, get your shit together, get your shit together. But at the beginning, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of music. It's a lot of mucking around. We've got a few different like kind of wrestling games that go on in the warm-ups, like rugby style.
Just don't hurt your
Um,
shoulder.
yeah, genuinely that is what it is. And you see a coach coming and you go, stop, 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 and then you might go back into it. But yeah, lots of kicking, lots of mucking around, and then yeah, and then uh yeah, there's always the people who are like independent operators. Like everyone's got their own routines beforehand. Like you got your headphones or your, but yeah, we're pumping music and singing along and doing what we want. And then we get into the meeting room and it's either Rel's in the same silly goofy mood or Rel is as serious as they come. Just whatever the game requires, kind of thing.
Hmm.
It's
Not a
mostly
bad.
pretty serious to be fair.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You're there to play footy. You're there to win
Yeah.
games. That's what you're there for. But completely understand. Sometimes you got to just release the vibe a little bit. You got to have a little bit of fun. Absolutely love it. So, as you said, you're a primary school teacher. So I'm interested, like during the season, can you give me just a little bit of a typical day for you? Because I know that unfortunately not full time, not full time athlete. So it is part time. So your days get a little long. Could you tell me a little bit about your a typical like training day for you?
Yeah, well, I am still studying to finish
Oh
off my
yeah.
qualification. So I just work as a support worker at the minute. But yeah, I work in a school, and then I do study from home as well. So if it's a training day where I'm at work, where I'm at a school, I'm there, 8 to 3 kind of vibes. And then I always come home in between trainings because my routine is I always have two dog walks in a day with my old dog that I got. So always back here, even if I got to drive like way further than I should to come back and do that, I always carve time to do that. And then yeah, and then bounce out to training. Eagles is good value because we've got a pretty early sort of training block, which is helpful. So your late nights, you're home at 8:45 kind of thing. So yeah, we're 5 to 7:30, kind of 8. The late ones you push off a bit later, but yeah, it's good value to be in the meeting room at 5:30 and get started so that you're not dragging out a long day. And
Mhm.
yeah, and if I'm studying, it's just lectures and essays and presentations, and then off I boot to training to go and run it all off, which I'm always so grateful for. Whether I go from work or from studying, I'm always grateful to run it off because yeah, I'm one of those people who's exercising to stay sane. So it's good.
Mhm. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So, as you said, you're only a few years into your footy career. So, I'm not sure how relevant this question is going to be, but is there a player that you ever modeled your game after? Say an AFL or even an AFLW player that you kind of you like, I want to play like that.
Well, yeah, like obviously, yeah, I'm only just playing, but like I always grew up watching AFL, and I would say I try and emulate a sort of Luke Parker kind of vibes, like a real just like sacrifice your body, throw it around, kind of put the team on your back, kind of like lead from the front, at least in effort, kind of thing. And he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but he's got a lot of heart. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of girls in the AFLW program who I'd love to play like. but yeah, I'm still refining my skills. I think I've definitely progressed a lot, but I've still got a ways to go. But yeah, if I could sell candy like anyone, I'd like to be like Monique Conti, but it's not my style. But she's a jet.
Well, I mean, we'll go to it later, but you again, you played in the state game and you got to play against Zippy Fish, and Zippy Fish very much reminds me a lot of Mon Conti. In fact, I see a lot of
Yeah, true. She could be a
similarity.
little one coming up. She's
She's
a ledge because she was smiling all game. I don't know because she was like a bottom ager, like an underage, from what I understand, Zippy. And
she's
like
draft
she was so
eligible.
funny. She
She's
was just
draft
smiling the
eligible
whole
this year.
time.
She's draft eligible this year, so she's not a bottom major,
Oh,
but
okay.
she's
She's not underage.
yeah,
Okay, there you go.
no,
Surely
no.
she's on the draft.
Oh yeah, she's top five.
Yeah, 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 yeah. She's a ledge.
She's WA's number one. She's WA's
Yeah.
number one. Last, I think she's
She was
um
about our only problem in that game, to be fair.
pretty much, yeah. I remember watching that. I
Yeah.
remember watching that game. She was a pain. She was a pain in the ass for you guys. We'll talk a little bit
Yeah.
more about that game a little bit later because like I said, I watched that game absolutely. I saw the lineup for Sample W and thought, oh God, WA could be in for a long day with some of the middies that you had in there. But Zippy showed why. Like I
Yeah.
said, she's a Mon Conti twin. I think
Yeah.
I've heard that's her favorite player, and I said she plays exactly like it. It's scary sometimes
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
watch.
I'm
I
sure Mon
mean,
would love to come up
yeah.
on her.
Oh yeah, absolutely for sure. Well, in fact, speaking of that, that's actually a great transition since we talked about it. Toughest opponent you've ever played against. I know it. Being in this handful, you've had sometimes to play against the AFLW players. You've played in that state game. Toughest opponent you've ever played against.
Uh, I don't know. I genuinely, before coming into the state program this year, I was definitely a head down. I didn't really get to know anyone.
Mm,
Like I was really, I didn't pay much attention to Oppo. I think girls like Lauren Young was always tough to play against because she's a midfielder and she's a jet, but she's tall and she goes in the air and she's got a boot on her for days. And she just moves around you silently. So she's a really tough person to play against because she's so smart. She's very, we're out there running around and she's playing chess with us kind of thing. So
mhm.
she's a ledge. And yeah, any of those big body midfielders coming up against them, you always know it's going to be a tough day because you got extra work to do when they're that skillful and that strong. So yeah,
Yeah,
she's
I,
she.
I had- I had the pleasure of talking with Jess Bates, and she was one of those. I remember watching Glenelg games. It was just like,
Mm.
how does? And I agree with what Brad Farrell told me in our interview that we had. He goes, "How Jess Bates is not on a Sandford, not on an AFLW list? It's a crime." But
Oh,
it just
that
shows
is that is illegal. And honestly, this is
you.
This is one of a social error that I made, one of many this year. But at the BNF night, like the Samford BNF night, because I thought there was just going to be waves and waves around it. And like fair credit to Nikki
I'll
because
raise
she's
my hand. I
very
did too.
talented and so dependable. Like, and that's the
Mhm,
way that those things go. Because Nikki would have just turned up in every game and
mhm.
been such a soldier for South to get them to that flag. But yeah, I thought Jess was so in the clear because she's just we nobody knows why she's not like nobody's got the answer for why she's not playing professionally. And like you see it on every sample post in the comments, like someone sign up Jess Bates. And like at the sample night, at the thing, I had to leave early because I was flying away
Mhm.
interstate the next morning at like 5 a.m. So I dipped before the count was done. And I went up to her because we played together in the state and it was awesome to get to know her. And I was like, mate, congratulations on the BNF. Like, you enjoy it. Like, have a great time. Like, it's been so good. You're so good. And then I was just like, and then I saw later, like 2 hours later, that she came second. And I was like, that's illegal. Someone recounted.
She actually missed the
But she's
last two
so
games.
humble. She's the
She
most
missed.
humble girl you meet.
Oh yeah, she was absolutely fantastic. I loved my chat with her. She's an absolute ripper. In fact, she's already. I'm thinking about seeing if she'll do a round review with me for the AFLW because that's how much of an awesome one. In fact, I think I complimented her a little. I complimented her because she did the Wharf Radio special comments with Phil Aspinall
Yeah.
and Phil Hurd. And I was listening to it because Phil Aspinall, good friend of mine, also does the sample snapshot show, the sample show that I do. And I remember she chuckled because she knew me. We had introduced you. We were all ready
Yeah.
to go, but she did not know that I did the sample show. So when Phil called and like gave me a shout out on the Wharf
Yeah.
Radio broadcast, her ears pricked up. She went, you know Donnie too. Like it's become this weird kind of thing. So I have to laugh about that. So speaking of that, again reel it in, coach. But this is what I mean. I love
You're
these
fine.
chats. No, I really do. I love these chats because I love to be able to talk this. So you had the honor of representing the Sandful W. I think I'm not sure if we would call it the Crow Eaters because it really was the Sandful W versus the Waffle W in that first ever state game on Optus Stadium. I mean, how cool is that? You got to play on the same pitch as AFL and AFLW players have gotten to play. How much of an honor was it? And then how crazy was that game? Because again, you had Shelby Smith, you had Jess Bates, you had some of the best Sample W players on your team. You didn't have to play them this time.
Yeah, that was the coolest part of it. I think everyone would say that, like getting to be with the best. Even the All Stars game when we played, when it was like the top 44 of us or whatever, and we
Mhm.
split for that game to pick the state team. Like that day was awesome. That was just such a good learning and such a good experience. And then yeah, going away was like it was a dream. I got a bit injured in the days before. They thought I'd tore my patella tendon. So there was a chance I was going to get pulled out of it the night before we flew out. So I was very very grateful that I just had bursitis, and like they just strapped me up, and they were like, if you want to play through the pain, like go on. How many times in your life do you get a chance to rep your state? Just go. And I was like, thank you, ticket. That's my green light. I'm on. Um, but yeah, that was amazing. And yeah, playing with Shelby. Shelby's a ledge. She goes at it like a bull. And yeah, having those girls again in your corner and not against them, so good. And Batesy, getting to know her and playing with her, and she's just so quick with it, and she's just everywhere. Like she's so but yeah, and all the girls like um just holding up our back, and playing with Rosie too, like, and Tashana and Jep, who I got to know through Sturt. She's a ledge. And yeah, it was really good. It was really good fun. And Hannah Martin, who's such a smart footballer too. It was a really good learning curve. And yeah, playing on the pitch where the AFL boys play, actually the Essendon West Coast game was afterwards,
Mhm.
and they were warming up at halftime, and when we come out, they were still on the pitch and they hadn't got off yet, and I was a bit like, this is our time, lad, like off your hop. Anyway, and I forced Laverde to give me a high five because he had his headphones on and he's just bouncing the ball and he's getting off the pitch real slow. And I was like, so I just stepped right into his eye line and I was like, and he was so salty with it, but he gave me a little high five, and I was like, off your hop, mate, to the sidelines. It's our turn right now. I'll tell you what, though, it's a bloody sandpit, that oval. But and I lost a shoe at one point in the sand. Was playing for a minute or two with one boot. It was ridiculous. I didn't yeah, that game was a lot of fun. I reckon I probably only had a few good moments in it, but I think I played my role and laid some solid tackles. So I was very much aware that that was a big privilege, and like yeah, just so stoked to go and play my role and be a part of something so big like that. It was ripper.
Well, I'll tell you this: both you and Annie Falkenberg represented the Woodville-West Torrens Eagles very well that day. So I
Thanks,
remember
mate.
I interviewed Annie. Annie's an absolute ripper. Absolutely love her to death. She's fantastic, and she
Yeah,
she
she's a good,
showed how
she's a good
good she
girl.
really is down back as well in
Yeah,
that game as well. She did fantastic. So I am
she is
100%
resolute.
on that one. So we'll go to it as we kind of discussed a little bit earlier. Your thoughts on the season so far, both personally and as a team at Woodville-West Torrens, because as we said, I was fully chuffed on you guys. I thought you guys had a good shot. Down goes the poster behind you. It's
Yeah, you
fine.
know what that poster says? It says "Pay me like a white man," and it's just fallen down.
That's
What's
hilarious.
that say?
That is hilarious. The timing could not have been better on that one. So, no. So, thoughts on your season so far? Your season this last year.
Yeah, like yeah, it was my personally it was my biggest growth year, and I did a lot of work in the off season to fix up my kick, just because I got a very natural soccer kind of curve to my kick. So and just trying to get better at like making decisions and using it by foot. But yeah, and as a team, I think no one would shy away from the fact that we fell short of our potential, but that's only statistically, and that's only what the results show. Like all of those games were so close, and
Mhm.
we just get a bit more maturity around, how to close up those tight games and how to really kick away when it's there for us to win. Because just a few of those games peppered throughout the season of being like, that was, they didn't win, we lost kind of thing. Like we kicked ourselves out of it or we gave up cheap goals kind of thing. So yeah, definitely lots to learn from. But I think we just had, yeah, just such a good year. And when we were playing our best, it was good football. So
Mhm.
I'm super proud of that. I am proud of how well we developed, and honestly, like we are on the cusp of something really special. So I'm very keen to see that keep building, and yeah, I'll keep working on my own shit too, so I can be a part of it.
Well, I'm excited. As I told Narelle in my one of my last messages, I said I know the results may not have been exactly there, but I know I could tell what type of footy you guys wanted to play, and I think there's something building at Woodville-West Torrens. I'm excited for
Yeah.
it. So we'll jump to for you. I want to go to you. Are there any personal goals that you're kind of setting for yourself for next season?
Yeah, definitely. And it's just an extension of what I've been doing. Like I worked really hard on getting my kicking technique, and I'm a decent kick now off a mark or a kick in or anything like that. But I'm just really trying to calm down when I'm exiting a stoppage. And that's mostly an upstairs job, like in my head, of just being able to assess the level of pressure.
Mhm.
Because I'll see in so many games when I watch them back and I go, mate, you thought there was so much pressure there. There's nobody there. Like, what are you doing? Like, just give it up really easily. So, yeah, just practicing, yeah, using the ball under pressure, a bit better, making some better decisions, and yeah, and I'm just tweaking my kicking technique a little bit, and trying to get some more fluidity with it, and yeah, really keen for it. Definitely got a goal to kick more goals because I kicked one in the first game of the season, and then I sprayed every opportunity I had
I
after
remember that
that.
goal. That was a pretty impressive goal. I remember that one against Sturt.
The
That
only
was a
reason
good one.
I'll tell you fact, the only reason I got that goal is because Mackenzie Dowrick is an absolute ledge and blocked the shit out of the goal line. If that defender had her positioning right, there's no chance that that's a goal. But Kenny did a beautiful job of shepherding that through for me. It
Mhm.
was awesome.
That was it. Your celebration was pretty good too. You enjoyed the hell out of that one,
Oh,
definitely for
so
sure.
good. It was one of my goals for the year to kick a goal in my colours, and I was very, very proud. And then,
Fantastic.
like I said, I sprayed everyone afterwards. But
You'll be,
that's
hey,
okay.
hey, it just gives you something to build for next year. We'll at least make sure
Yeah,
we
that's
get two
right.
goals next year,
That's
at
right. I'm
least.
kicking goals from the mid next year, and I'll be running around high-fiving everyone, high-fiving the Oppo if I can.
Isaac Heaney and Chad Warner, eat your hearts out, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All
Happy
right.
dude.
We'll jump to my next question. And I want to open this one up because you are an absolute character. So I'm really interested on this one. I think the women's game interacts with the fans and has more of a connection with the fans than the men's do. And again, this it's no disrespect to the men's, but I just think there's whenever I watch AFLW games or whenever I watch SANFLW, there's this intimacy to the women's game that I absolutely love. Best fan interaction, whether it's with a young girl or a young boy that wants an autograph, or even I'll even go so far as have you heard a really good sledge that's just stuck in the back of your mind from the outer? Best fan interaction you've ever had.
Well, yeah, I mean, I work with young children every day, and yeah, and they think the Sandful's like some professional league. They think I'm a hero. Like I got fans everywhere. It's so good. Like work with children and you'll have fans everywhere. Um, uh, but yeah, and I used to tutor a girl, and work pretty close with her one on one for a long time. And I remember her big sister was playing football, and she wanted to start football, and she asked me how long I'd been playing, and we were talking about it, and I said that like when I was your age, like there was no girls team, like I couldn't play. And she was like, and her little brother, who was even younger than her, were like, "What? That's not allowed. What do you mean?" And I was like, I know, right? And like, I just think that level of passion that comes from kids when, because they just have that level of self-assuredness that is awesome to see in young girls. And yeah, it's real good. I think yeah, like I'm an up and comer in the sample, so like I don't have any any huge fans, but the people in my life, in my everyday life, they do a very good job of hyping me up. Like my best mate just sticks badges of my face around everywhere. Like I can't go anywhere without seeing them. So it's really good.
At least, hey, you have a fan. I have a fan. So
Yeah.
absolutely love
Oh
it.
yeah,
All
I got a
right.
few
So
fans. That's right. I keep my circle tight.
there's nothing wrong with that. All right. We'll go to the next one. I always love this because it doesn't matter whether if you're an AFLW player or SANFLW, VFL, Waffle, doesn't matter. There's always advice that can be given to a generation lower. So I'll ask this: best piece of advice you can give for a young boy or a young girl when it comes to playing professional footy?
Um, Look, I think a piece of advice that I don't know if it's advice or just a bit of tough love, but I genuinely believe that in any situation, there's literally only two options, and you can either try or you can not try. And so I think it's on you to decide, have a think, figure out what's in your circle of control, and just and act on it and try. And almost every time you're better off just giving something a go, because like just trying is better than not trying. Like, what are you going to do later? Just look back on it and miss an opportunity. So I think, yeah, just grab anything that you can and give it a crack. And if you don't want to, if you don't have that pull inside yourself, then that's okay. Like it's not for everyone. And
Mhm.
like, I think external factors like your parents wanting you to play sport, or you think it's cool, or you wanted to last time, like if you don't have that internal drive to do it, like don't worry about it, because the external factors will go away, and you've got to have that thing in your gut that's pulling you to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. And that'll carry you. So yeah.
Nope, absolutely love it. And 100% agree. It's one of those I love the have a crack. You never
Yeah.
know what's going to happen 100%
Yeah.
with this one. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to take you off the pitch and we're going to put you up in the proverbial press box. I'm going to make you list manager for the
At the
Woodville-West
Eagles.
Torrens Eagles for
Yep.
one day. You can take one player from any of the other clubs in the Sandful W to join you with the Eagles to give you that push to make finals next year. Who'd be that one player you'd want to don the Eagles Guernsey?
Yeah, I was thinking about this one I was thinking about this one a lot, and I was like, there's so many talented players that I could pinch, and I could go, maybe we could have a key back to help Annie out there, or like I could have someone in the mids, and maybe we could have some forwards to help us kick goals. And I genuinely think this is my answer that I've landed on. I think I'd still back Kiana, because she's an Eagle at heart. She is having a great couple of years, and I think she's best wherever she's happy. In the same way like me, like I don't think she plays well if she's not feeling good. And I know she is thriving out at Redlegs, but if I was in charge, I'd be pinching her back and going, come with us. This is your home, and come with us and we'll get you a flag, mate. Let's go. So yeah, I'd take Kiana Lee back because she is a jet.
Yeah, Kiana's
And she's just a good kid. So yeah, she can come with us to win.
she's a good one. She was my latest chat. And I absolutely adored talking with her. She was
Yeah,
absolutely
she's a
so much
sweetheart.
fun and I love it because she's very humble about everything though. I kept telling her, I said, damn it, you were always so noticeable in every game, no matter where Brad put you, you did something to impact the game. And she just, well, I'm just doing my job. I love
Yeah, I
how
think
humble.
that's why sport is great though, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it gives people and other personalities like that a chance to shine, and you can do your thing. Like you can be a goodie in a Kiana where you're not saying nearly the most at training. Like they'd be some of the quietest girls you'd meet, but good luck not noticing them on the pitch because they're so talented. So
Mhm.
you can just let your footy do the talking, which is
Yep.
which is awesome.
Sometimes those are the best leaders too, the ones they show you by action, not by words. So
Yeah, absolutely.
100% with you on that one. So we're gonna have some fun. We may throw a few teammates under the bus, and I know this was one that we went back and forth a couple of times on. So first teammate that you think of, okay? So I'm interested on this because
Oh
Annie
yeah.
did this, so I'm interested to see since we do have a few differences in players now. So team mom, who's the team mom of the group at the Woodville West Torrens Eagles?
Oh, it's Folky, and if Folky didn't say herself, she's lying.
How come I'm not surprised on that one? All right, who's the funniest? Who's got the best jokes?
Cher is the funniest. Cher Waters, she's a ledge. And
Uh,
she's not got jokes, she's just who she is, and she's hilarious.
she's just a
Yeah.
character. Nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that. All right, the toughest. Who's the one can just handle anything?
Toughest, or that'd be a fair split between Gracie Martin, who is an absolute jet, catch her in the draft in a minute, and Leah Cutting, she is so mentally strong, she's so physically strong, and she's a leader. Those two girls will always lead by example. They go so hard.
Fantastic. Social butterfly. Who's the one everybody interacts with?
Probably Danny, she's everywhere. She's Snapchatting 17,000 people at all times. Like,
All right, this is probably the one that's going to be the most under the bus. I'm interested. Who has the worst white line fever?
oh, Wally, for sure. She's out there looking for fights. She loves it.
All right, most emotional. Who's somebody that the tears can get going pretty quickly?
Oh, I reckon all of us, to be fair. I'll get the waterworks out from time to time. Marley would say she's grown out of it, but Marley's our sweetheart. She's our softie. Any of the young girls, but fuck it, like us folky or cutters too, like Leah, we all love a cry.
Nothing
It's
wrong
part
with
of it.
that. Being emotional is nothing wrong.
Yeah,
My
that's right.
one of my favorite ones. Who's the quirkiest? Who's the most unique unit at the Eagles?
Oh, plenty of rogue units floating around at the Eagles. Folky's pretty whack. Folky is a smoky for the weirdest. Um, yeah, also, um, Audrey Holt is also real quirky. She's very funny. Um, yeah, who else would you have there? I don't. There's plenty of weird units. Narelle's a weirdo. Has Narelle told you that she bird watches? She's like a fully fledged bird watcher. She knows all of them. You point to them and she knows them. It's so that's weird. That's quirky.
There's nothing wrong with that. Watching nature, there's nothing wrong with that. All right.
Oh no, it's
I
it's the best.
and I asked this respectfully. As females, you gotta look good when you go out on the field. Who takes the longest to get ready?
Oh, I don't know. I'm a notoriously late and like don't have my boots laced up and gotta go to the toilet and like forgot my mouth guard kind of person. But it's not because I'm looking good, it's because I'm stressed. Like Claudia's always tying up her bow. She's always wearing a very cute little like tie up in her hair. BP. Yeah, all of us. All of us are preeners. We're eagles.
I love it. All right. The other one again, some people take offense to it. I find it fascinating. Biggest diva.
Oh, BP probably. Bianca.
All right. Best cook. Is anybody known for their cooking?
I don't know that. I don't know. No, I better get my teammates to start cooking for me and start ranking them. I don't know that any of them have ever made me a meal. Well, nah, a couple of them have, but I couldn't say. I don't know. I go
Interesting.
all right. I cook all right for
Yeah,
myself.
I know that there's some that are good with it. I know some teams have like the person that's really good at making sweets or really good at making sausage rolls or something like that for it. So it's always interesting. And then
Yeah,
last but
true,
not
true.
least, since it's perfect at the end, fashionably late. Who's the one that's just making it on time?
Oh, well, that's Blando, but it's because she works hard and she's always rolling in from work. Game day, she'd never be late. Game day, no one's late though.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there's there's definitely the girls that you notice when you're in preseason and there's a Saturday morning 8 a.m. starters. You definitely notice the girls who you know that they're still half asleep. There's those legends. But yeah, we all try and get there on time.
Good,
Probably
good.
me running out last.
I've heard a few, and this is one of my favorite things about Aussie culture is the nickname. We're trying up here. We're not as good as it. I'm working on my skills. I've got a teammate. I've got a player who I know is Ruben, and we're trying to work out a good nickname. We think we've got it down to calling him Sanga, Ruben Sandwich, calling him
Oh
Sanga,
yeah,
but
that's not bad.
we're not sure if it's going to stick or not. So best nickname at the Eagles.
Oh, uh, Yeah, look, there's plenty of them floating around. You got one of our coaches. We call him. His name is Burner because when he used to play, he used to just go out and start fights and just be burning people everywhere. So he's a ledge. You got DJ Sprinkler for one of our girls who likes to DJ on the decks. That's her name, DJ Sprinkler. These ones. Um, and our CEO, which is pretty Australian, he lets everyone call him Cuzzy. His name is David Cuzner. And that's he's the biggest of the big dogs, and he just straight up answers to Cuzzy, so that's good.
He doesn't take himself too seriously. There's nothing wrong with that. So,
No, he's a
like I said,
legend.
I love the Aussie nickname. Like I said, we're trying to work on some. Some of ours are just the prototypical Australian, just last name, chop off the end, throw a Y on to it. Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, plenty
hey,
of those.
judgy, hey, yeah. So it's always fun with that one. So, all right, I know that there aren't a ton of home field advantages in the Sample W. There are so many, but we're going to take away the home grounds of the Woodville-West Torrens. What's the best away place to play in the Sample W?
I think Cooper's is a really beautiful place to play. Norwood's home ground, Cooper Stadium. That because I've watched a lot of football there, and it's a beautiful place to watch a game. It's also like I prefer a bigger deck. Like Norwood's pretty small, but in the same vein, that ground lets the game be pretty zippy.
Hmm.
And you got to be hot on it, and it shoots from edge to edge, and you can do coast to coast really quick. And it's awesome when the sun comes in. It's such a pretty place, and the facilities are good. It's a nice place to be, Coops. I consider it neutral. Like I know it's Norwoods, but I've played enough footy there throughout like local league and stuff too that like yeah, I like it. I don't yeah. It doesn't feel like intimidating or aggressive as a place to be.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I always it always looks really good on camera because I know that
Yeah.
The Adelaide women
Yeah.
play at Norwood a lot. I
Yeah.
think it's a fantastic deck. The only
Yeah,
thing
it's
that
a
would
great place
scare
to
me
watch a game as a spectator.
The only thing that would scare me as a player is that brick wall along the boundary line on the interchanges. I literally I know that they said nobody's actually gotten hurt as far as they are aware, but I'm like that would be terrifying, leading to the boundary, going, uh-oh, I've only got about 2 feet to stop before a brick wall is going to end
Yeah.
any
Oh,
momentum
yeah.
I
So,
have.
and there's about, 20 people lined up on the pitch, on the sidelines. Hopefully they'd stop you.
You'd hope. You
Just
really,
human
really
barricade.
hope.
Yeah.
All right, we get to the fun. I have a couple of fun questions personally because again, I've never been to Australia. It is on my bucket list. I want to
Oh,
get
yeah.
there. So when I do it, I'm doing a little research in all of my interviews and everything like that. So I always ask these questions. When I go to the footy, again, I'm an American, so Americans always love our food at the sport. So I gotta ask, favorite food at the footy?
Oh, it's a boring answer, but you can't go past hot chips. Like, and nothing else would be worth your money. Just eat at a nice restaurant down the road and then go and get extra hot chips with chicken salt at the club.
Hmm.
That would be my
That is
recommendation.
that is a very popular answer. It's past the meat pie. Like
Oh, a
literally,
thousand percent.
it
Meat
zoomed
pie is like a
by.
canteen at school. Eating a meat pie at the footy, like,
And
nah.
in fact, I had a mate of mine from Tasmania send up like a snack pack, and he sent me chicken salt. So I've been slowly trying to try that a little bit. So that's always fun there. So all right, we'll go to this is again when I go, I want to get the best possible atmosphere situation, and I know most likely I'll probably be going to like the Adelaide Oval or the SCG. So for you, when you go to like an AFL ground, where's the ideal place to sit to watch the footy?
Oh, I mean, some people might say behind the goals. I would say front row on the flank, like somewhere close to the boundary, near the races, like watching them so that you've got equal vision wherever the ball is on the field. And that when it comes up to your wing or it's transitioning anytime down that side, you're so close to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And if you
I've
get down towards the 50s, you'll see them coming out of defense, and you'll see, set shots coming in. Yeah, it's real nice. It's a great spot.
Yeah, that's the most popular pick is the wing. Most people have it up and elevate like the elevated
Yeah.
like second level just because then you can see everything. But for those that
Nah,
really want that
get
immersive
down first.
situation, get down closer to the ground, 100% with you. And
If
then
you're in the if you go into the SCG, go up a couple levels and you can see like just if you go out on any twilight games, just amazing, and you see the sunset come in at just insane colors. It's
mhm,
so nice. And you get such a beautiful view if you've got that old scoreboard or the old cricket ground stuff.
mhm.
That's a really beautiful place to watch football.
All right. And then my last question that I asked, just because I'm getting a catalog of this because it's been so cool. Favorite game of footy you have ever seen live on the telly, men's, women's, doesn't matter. Favorite game of football you have ever seen.
I've got a very key answer to this, and this is I was at the game live, and it was one of the first AFL games I saw live. I moved down to Sydney when I was 18, and I'd obviously followed the Swans my whole life, and I went down to one of their games in 2017. This is round 14 when they beat Essendon by 1 point, and they were down by like 19, and I was up in that, and I was up that game, and it was like Paps had smothered it for it to stay in, and then Rampy
Hmm.
gets a clearance, and it's just this kick from fucking nothing, and Rowan Marks like to kick after the siren, and they won by a
Hmm.
point, but like it was just such an insane game of football to watch the whole thing, and I was there up in like I was pretty much touching the roof of the SCG, like I was in the cheapest tickets on the highest level in the worst seats, just watching like ants play, and I was just screaming at all the Swans fans who were leaving, like, in the fourth because we were down and they were like trying to get out before. And I was just screaming at everyone to stay and like have some faith. And I can't believe you're going to leave. And don't worry, they're coming back. They're coming back. It smells like a comeback. Like just screaming my absolute head off. And then when they won, oh, it was something else. I think I was doing airplanes through the streets of Sydney for like 3 hours afterwards. Just, I was collecting hats, I was collecting scarves, like, I was just running amok. It was the best game.
I will tell you this. We'll finish the podcast and I will tell you the story of me watching that because I watched it over
Yeah.
here at 7 in the morning at work because I worked at 6 a.m. at the time. I will tell you that story after the podcast because I have told it on the podcast a couple of times. I don't want them to do it. So Poppy, this has been a fantastic chat. I love chatting footy and you're a vibrant young woman. It is fantastic to be able to have more connections with some of the Sample W. I know that the Sample has kind of hugged me a little bit more than some of the other state leagues, and I genuinely appreciate it. So thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today.
No worries. Appreciate it.
Well,
Thanks for having
it has
me.
been fantastic. Absolutely loved it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for another episode of Donnie's Disposals. Again, keep an eye out. More coverage. We are getting closer. VFL, Waffle, and Sandful finals are coming up. The AFL finals are coming up, and AFLW gets started very soon. And you know how much I love it. So, we will be talking all things footy through the rest of the year. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I will get all the way till December before I get a break from footy. But you know what? I absolutely love it. So that'll do it for another episode of Donnie's Disposal. We'll be back with more footy coverage very, very soon.